Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. I used to live on the south side of Glasgow, not very far from Hampden Park, so I'm very familiar with the famous Hampden Roar. One can't help catching the football fever, especially when the great rivals like Rangers and Celtic play on New Year's Day, or when the English 11 take the turf against Scotland. Now, some folks are, in the language of the Glaswegian, football crazy. Like one Scot I heard of, who, when Celtic was playing an important match in South America, he cashed an insurance policy that he might fly out there to support his team. He truly was hooked. When Puskas, the Hungarian who played so well for his team, Real Madrid, was interviewed, he told the reporter, "When I don't play football, I talk football. When I don't talk football, I think football." Football was his passion in life. But other folks are as dedicated to hitting the wee white ball around the greens, or rugby, or cricket, or whatever. And not a few eat and sleep money. They dream of wealth, and every day is dedicated to making their dreams come true. All of these folks would say, for me to live is football, golf, money, or whatever. Their dominating interest, their consuming passion. But one man wrote, "For me to live is Christ," or "Christ is life to me." This seems strange, that is, until you discover what he discovered, that he owed everything to the Christ who forgave his sin and filled his life with peace and love. He possessed a faith by which to live and a hope with which to die. If we are going to live for something, we should make certain that it is worthy of our dedication. And Christ is, believe me. Now, this is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying, God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. London is very fortunate in the number of excellent teaching hospitals that it has. In the south side of the Thames, there are three important ones: King's College Hospital, St Thomas's, and Guy's. Now, the last of these is named after its benefactor, Thomas Guy. Thomas Guy lived at the end of the 17th and the beginning of the 18th centuries, and he made his wealth in importing and later on printing Bibles. He later on became Member of Parliament for Tamworth. Now, the children of his day used to ridicule him for his frugal way of life, and he was known to them as Miser Guy. But the passing of time was to show him in a very different light. Indeed, we know him as a very generous benefactor whose philanthropy has been the means of blessing the procession of sufferers since the hospital that bears his name was established. History shows him not to be the first benefactor to be despised by his contemporaries. How wrong people have been proved to be in their mistaken and short-sighted judgments of others. Jesus Christ, who, says the Scriptures, went about doing good, was nevertheless despised and rejected by his contemporaries. He, in a very mysterious and wonderful way, gave his life for the salvation of people of every generation, including our own. God sent him into the world that the world through him might be saved, and yet still he is unrecognized and unwanted. Through him the broken-hearted are comforted, and the captives are delivered, the blind see, and the burdened are strengthened. He is mankind's benefactor, and he can make you rich as well. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying, God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. I remember when I left school being warned about the pranks played on young apprentices. He would be sent for a left-handed screwdriver or a barrel load of steam or a glass hammer. The young apprentice was asked to get the impossible. You know, life is full of impossibilities. It's impossible to get a one-sided sheet of paper, or a square circle, or a four-sided triangle, and it's impossible for sound to pass through a vacuum. It's impossible for rain to be dry, and ice to be hot, and heat to be cold. Now, about all of these, you and I can be absolutely certain. But here is another one to add to your list. It's impossible for God to deny himself. I hear you say, is anything impossible for God? Yes, this is impossible. God cannot be other than he is, and the Bible tells us that he is love and power. Both of these are seen in the death and in the resurrection of Christ his Son. For Christ who died in love was raised in power. It was impossible, says the Bible, for him to be made a prisoner of death. I like the cartoon in one of our local papers which shows the empty cross of Jesus and above it in large letters, business as usual. You see, nothing can stop God from loving, and there is no power in heaven or in earth that can separate him from those he loves, and that includes you. It is impossible, and because of that, I for one say, hallelujah. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you, and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. New York Avenue Presbyterian Church in Washington is beautifully modern. All the pews in the spacious sanctuary are of light wood, and the ends of them painted white. That is, all except one pew which is old and made of dark wood. It is the very pew in which Abraham Lincoln sat when he worshipped in that particular church. It's common practice for people to phone the church office and to make a reservation so as to occupy Lincoln's pew the following Sunday at a worship service. Now, most people like to have associations with greatness. That's why we have pilgrimages to the Holy Land or Greece and Asia Minor, where we might walk in the steps of St. Paul, or to visit Hampton Court, the Tower of London, Stratford-upon-Avon, Chartwell, or Alloa up there in Scotland. To have walked in the footsteps of great people, people who helped to make history, is inspiring, and the memories constitute a challenge to our daily living. Christians have the holy places where they can visit and to walk today where Jesus walked. And I've no doubt that to stand on Golgotha or to walk in Gethsemane is an experience worth having. But the greatness of those Christians like Peter and Paul, did not come about because of any physical association that they had had with Jesus, but it was due to an inner presence, the hallowing presence of his own gracious Spirit. True greatness doesn't come from memories, but it comes from a presence which gives both incentive and enabling. His Spirit is with you today, and you can be in touch with greatness, even with the greatness of God. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you, and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. I have a friend who, whenever he returns from holiday, never fails to bring me a stick of rock, the kind which has lettering, usually the name of the holiday resort. Now, I'm intrigued by lettered rock, and it's one of my desires to know exactly how it's done. Now, the secret may be simple, but it still eludes my understanding. This lettering, as you well know, is not stamped at both ends of the rock. It is, in fact, there throughout its whole length. It is not like some pieces of furniture which look like walnut or teak, but which are in fact just pitch pine with a veneer. They look different from what they really are. How very like some people we all know. But break that stick of rock anywhere and it is the same. Some of us are one thing at church, but we're quite different at home. We're one thing at home and entirely different at work. One thing to strangers, but different to our own family. If God were to break into your business life, would he find you the same person that you profess to be when you're at church? Or if he were to break into your recreation, would he do so without causing you any embarrassment? I wonder if you know that in Roman times, if a piece of marble had a flaw, the unscrupulous salesman would hide it by using wax. And so, when a buyer wanted to buy a flawless piece of marble, he would ask, is it sine cera? That is it without wax? Sine cera, from which we get our word sincerely. Are you sincere in all your ways? Abraham was instructed, walk before me and be sincere. And that's excellent advice for all of us. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. There are certain large stores in London's West End which proudly display the royal coat of arms because they have been honoured in being invited to serve members of the royal household. Now, I suppose, like me, you can't afford to shop in such places, but I'm consoled when I look at the pot of jam, the tin of fruit, or the box of biscuits in our larder, and I see some of them bearing the coat of arms and the magic words, by appointment. Now here Buckingham Palace and those at the Manse have something in common. It is an honour to be selected by the Queen, Her Majesty, and to serve her or her household. And those who are selected are proud, and justly so. Be it baking biscuits or supplying sapphires, these people are in royal service. This was the way that the early Christians looked at their service. They were perfectly ordinary people doing the usual kind of jobs, farming or fishing or making tents or whatever. But whatever they did, in word or in deed, they were to do it to the glory of their Lord. And because they did it this way, they did it for Him. And because it was done for Him, they were in royal service. Now, Jesus said on one occasion that any kindness done to anybody in His name was as though it had been done to Him personally. Whatever job you have to do today, do it as though you're doing it for Jesus, and see the difference that this makes to your attitude, to your daily work. All service done in His name is royal service. So above your life, you can see with the eyes of faith the royal coat of arms and the words, by appointment. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. I like the story of the boy who wrote a letter to God asking for £20 as he wanted to buy his parents something for their Christmas. Now, the post office didn't know what to do with an envelope addressed to God, and eventually they sent it to the Prime Minister. His secretary read it to him, and it was decided eventually to send the boy a £5 note, as it seemed to be a worthy cause. When the boy received the money, he wrote a letter. Dear God, thank you for the £5 you sent me, but next time you send me money, don't send it via Whitehall, as they kept 75% for themselves. I don't know whether you believe that God cares for people, hears their prayers and meets their needs. Maybe you feel let down by God and your prayers haven't been answered the way that you thought they ought to have been. Now, there may be good reasons for this, and I'm not making excuses, believe me. But let me tell you this. The Bible states quite clearly that God is a heavenly Father who loves His people, so much so that He gave His Son to die for them. Now, if that is the measure of God's love for us, then God won't withhold anything from us that is for our good. But like the wee boy in the story who believed that God had not been miserly, but man had been, so it's true that very often the blessing that God intends for us is held up somewhere because of man's greed or his forgetfulness. Would you be holding back a blessing that God intends you to give to someone in need? Don't allow your life to be a dead end, but let it be a highway along which the blessings of God can travel to others. Now, this is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. I remember our son when he was just a child asking me one day what a saint was. Well, I knew that I had to be as simple in my definition as possible, so I said, a saint, son, is a person who is very, very good. Now, he thought for a moment, and then he said, well, Dad, am I a saint? To which I replied, well, now, I must admit that there are times when you are a very good boy, but there are other occasions when you will admit yourself that you're very naughty. So he pondered for a moment or two, and then he countered by saying, well, Dad, I suppose that I'm half a saint. Well, what do you think? There's good in the worst of us, they tell us, and there's bad in the best of us. What is a saint? Someone has said a saint is someone who makes it easier for another person to believe in God. Or a saint is a person who lets the light shine through. Or again, a saint is someone in whom Christ lives again. Now, I like the last one of these. I think that's hitting the target. A saint is a person who is Christ to his neighbour. There may be many things about the church that you feel ought to be disposed of. Robes, ritual, its litany and its old world language, and you may be absolutely right. Some things are archaic and obsolete, and they ought to go. But there's nothing more needful in this grey world than the shining presence of somebody filled with the love of Jesus. Why don't you ask him to fill your life today with his Spirit and then share him with someone? Plaster saints are only decorative, if they're even that. One thing is sure, they do gather dust. What we need today are saints alive, people who are instruments in God's hands for good. Why not ask him to help you to be one just now? This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. I know a lady who exercises a most remarkable ministry, though she would be the last one to admit it. What she does is done without any ostentation. She's not a preacher. Indeed, she would run 1,000 miles from a pulpit or a platform, nor is she an organizer. But her ministry is a ministry of letter writing. How many has she written? I just couldn't tell you, but I know that there are numerous people who have been helped by her kindly ministry of encouragement. Her lovely ministry reaches all the corners of the globe. I have myself been at the receiving end of her ministry. If the way has been a bit rough for me, I know that she will write telling me not to lose heart, or it may be a letter of congratulation or sympathy or appreciation. With countless other people, I call her blessed. I wonder if you know that in the book of the Revelation, John the Beloved is instructed by his Lord to write, and my friend follows in this blessed apostolic succession. This ministry, you know, is not beyond the reach of any of us. You could, this very day, strengthen somebody's faith by writing them a few lines, assuring them of your thoughts and of your love. Maybe you've been out of touch with a loved one for some time now. A letter from you would put any fears at rest. Or maybe a note of apology is asked for. Why not write it? Why not do it now? One wee girl, after reading the gospel story that finishes with the cross of Jesus, said she had just read a letter from God and he had ended it with a kiss. What a beautiful thought. Yes, God has written his love story, and he has written it with you in mind. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you, and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. A man said the famous Dr. Johnson should keep his friendships in good repair. How very true. It's a great pity that friendships like flowers are very often allowed to die through neglect. Shakespeare reminds us, the friends thou hast in their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. Where would we be without our friends? The man without a friend is a pauper, whatever else he might have. We are indebted to those whose friendships throughout the years have made life that bit brighter, people who helped us to smile through our tears and enabled us to keep believing until the night passed and the day dawned. I remember these words, being friends is one glad way of seeing sunshine every day. Being friends brings more good cheer than any other blessing here. Being friends makes clouds depart, lifts the soul and warms the heart. For life is worth the going through while being friends with folks like you. A true friend, I think, will tell us the truth about ourselves even although it's unpleasant. Blessed are the wounds of a friend. If friendship can't stand the truth, then it's not worth very much. But a true friend, who, knowing the worst about us, will still love us, that is, he will accept us as we are and help us to become what we ought to be. One of the names given to Jesus was a friend, and he tells us that we are sinners and we don't like it. But he's not put off by this, for he is the one who loves us out of our sin and tries to love us into life. What a friend we have in Jesus. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you, and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. Have you ever wondered why it is that in the long history of mankind there have been very few years when there wasn't a war being fought somewhere? History hasn't been written in ink, but in blood. Not that we have not had peace conferences, the League of Nations and now the United Nations, but let's be honest, the United Nations are anything but united, what with East shouting at West and the blacks at odds with the white and the Jew with the Arab. Have you ever looked at the word united, U-N-I-T-E-D? You know, all you have to do to change it into untied is to shift the letter I to the other side of the letter T. You see, it's the position of the letter I which makes the word either united or untied. Now, therein lies a parable. Now, let me explain what I mean. It's easy for us to judge and condemn nations and blocks of countries for their belligerent attitudes which create so much distress in the family of man. But all of us are guilty of launching our own personal wars and vendettas, and we cause sorrow and misunderstanding and heartache in our own families or possibly at our places of employment. The Bible asks, where do wars come from? And then gives the answer. Isn't it because of the evil desires within you? You want what you don't have, so you kill to get it. You long for what others have, and so you start a fight. Fights start with an individual who has wrong thoughts, speaks cruel words, does wrong deeds. That is, he's not where he ought to be. The I requires to be put in its correct place. Now, a Christian says, not I, but Christ. His will be done. And this is the attitude that unites what would otherwise divide. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying, God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. The word posh is a strange one, and its origin is very interesting. Several hundred years ago, when the British sailed to India regularly, they always sought to get the shadier side of the ship, as this was the most desirable. However, if they chose one side on the way out, on the return trip, their stateroom would constantly be in the sun. Without modern air conditioning, this often proved uncomfortable. Therefore, people who loved luxury and who could afford expensive travel specified that their ticket should be marked port outbound, starboard homebound. In this way, they enjoyed shade both coming and going. Now, the abbreviation for this request was shortened to POSH. Later on, the periods were dropped and the English language acquired a strange new word which meant the ultimate in comfort and high-class living, being posh. There's two things I want to say. Firstly, I've had a lot of new words added to my vocabulary since I became a Christian, words I never knew of, or if I did know of their existence, I certainly didn't know their meaning. Words like faith, forgiveness, love, joy, peace, and hope. These words are now rich with meaning for me. And the second thing I want to say is this. To travel through life on a first-class ticket does not require a lot of money, but it does require wisdom and patience, perseverance, faith in God, and love for people. To travel the Jesus way is to travel posh, for that way is the royal route. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you, and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. Don't touch. I wonder how often you've shouted that command at yours or someone else's children whose curiosity was about to do them an injury. And if you have a good memory, you might recall that there was a time when you received that very same command. Ignorance is never bliss, that is, when it can lead us into danger. The child going near the gas fire or the hot iron, the boiling kettle, must be warned of the danger. And usually this crypt command, don't touch, is sufficient. But more than growing children need to be warned about hidden hazards. All of us are apt to be hurt, and unless we are warned, we may find ourselves burned or broken, maimed for life. Now that's why there are commandments such as don't murder, don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't bear false witness in the Bible. But some people say it's also negative. Don't do this and don't do that. But the command don't touch to the child about to pick up a sharp knife, though negative, has at its heart positive good. A fence at the top of a cliff is much to be preferred to an ambulance at the bottom. You see, there are certain things which God says are forbidden to us today. Not that He is a spoil sport or a wet blanket. God loves us, and even His restrictions are for our good. He wants only the best for His children. This is the God I know, and this is the God I love. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you, and call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. Yesterday I mentioned the inherent good that there was in not touching things which were harmful. Today I want to tell you when it's wrong of us not to touch. Our children grow up so quickly, and all too soon we hear parents saying to them, "Oh, you're too big a boy now for me to take on my knees," or we stop kissing our children good night or goodbye, or taking them in our arms and hugging them. Even with our best friends, we're very often content with meeting them just to speak words or to, at best, give them a formal handshake. And yet we stroke cats, we pat dogs, we snuggle up to horses. And yet with human beings, there is, as one doctor described, a no-touching epidemic, an English disease. I must admit that the situation in our churches is not much better. What with the minister in his pulpit, separate from his people, 6 feet above contradiction, and the people happy to be segregated in their pews. We have meetings where people don't meet. Don't touch seems to be the order when we meet people, and yet it seems unnatural for mothers not to cuddle their children and for lovers not to embrace. Do you feel yourself to be one of the untouchables whom people avoid or treat indifferently? Let me remind you that God loves you, and in loving you He longs to touch you, aye, much more. He longs to embrace you. When the prodigal returned, the father ran, fell on his neck, and kissed him. Well, I'm glad that God is not like some of us. Aren't you? This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 7611234. Thank you for calling. Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was President of the United States of America when his country entered the Second World War, suffered from polio. Now that's why in all the photographs that we see of him, he's always sitting. But what astonished people was his ability to carry the weight of the responsibilities of his office when he was a sick man. But his daughter, she shared the secret of her father's interior powers of recuperation when she said, "Since his illness, my father has trained himself to rest intensively, and that is how he manages to carry on." Resting intensively is a very significant phrase. Now, some people find it difficult to rest. They work all day, but they worry all night. And some people sleep, but their rest is very superficial. And certain beverages claim to help such people. And should these fail, of course, there's always the sleeping tablet. But rest of mind doesn't come through pills and potions. But I believe it comes when we can think on the things that make for peace. Now, to the person who is worried, the truth about the majesty and the competence of God should bring comfort. The knowledge that He is our Heavenly Father and cares for each of His children, and that we can trust Him, it brings its own peace. But of course, if we have sinned, only confession will restore the peace to the troubled conscience. Go and put right what you have done wrong, and see if you don't feel different. Rest in the Lord, says the psalmist, and he really means rest intensively. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. I wonder if you know that one of the simplest and most effective ways to catch a monkey is to place a tasty bite in a jar which is secured to the ground. The unwary animal puts its paw in, takes hold of the bait, and then discovers that with its paw clenched, it cannot get it through the narrow neck of the jar. Not having the sense to let go of its prized possession and thus free its paw, he holds on to it, and thus he becomes a captive. You must admit that the simplicity of the trap is exceeded only by the stupidity of the animal. If only it would let go of its banana or its nut or what have you, it would save itself. Fancy losing its life for a tasty morsel, a morsel which will give it enjoyment only for a few minutes. What a fool! But before we proceed in our condemnation of the animal, don't you think that some humans have as little of this sense that we call common as the monkey has? How many people throw away their future happiness for a few transitory thrills, experimenting as they call it? And what about those who won't let go of certain attitudes which result in a captivity of mind and will? You know, the desire for wealth, the lust for power, the craving for revenge. We have to let go of the forbidden things which are in themselves so trivial so that we can save our whole lives. And I think it was this that Jesus had in mind when he said, if your right eye is your undoing, tear it out and fling it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for the whole of it to be thrown into hell. Life is too precious a thing for us to throw it away because of trivialities. Now, this is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. I was visiting a hospital in the north of London when about 100 yards from its main gate I passed a small monument to Dick Whittington's cat. Now, everybody knows the story of the poor lad who heard an inner voice telling him to turn back. Turn again, Dick Whittington, Lord Mayor of London. And the story goes on, of course, telling us that this promise was fulfilled. Turn again. Now, this is excellent advice for all of us. I think that we need to turn from ourselves to God. We have so many blind spots that sometimes we cannot see that our determination to go our own way, to have our own will, is in fact the very ruin of us. We're required to turn from ourselves to other people. Self-love, you know, is a cancer of the spirit, and so often we discover our own needs are met only when we try to meet the needs of other people. And we also need to turn from the transitory things of this life to the eternal realities. We should try to see that whatever we are doing this day, see it against the backcloth of eternity. We should avoid the folly of the man who one day found a threepenny bit on the road and forever after he walked gazing at the ground. You know, the little things of this world can prevent us looking up and seeing the heavens above. Turn again. That's what Jesus meant when he said, except you become converted, you shall never enter the kingdom of heaven. Someone has said the only saving factor about the broad road that leads to destruction is that there is plenty of room on it to turn back. It's time for all of us to turn. Let's do it now. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying God bless you. Call again tomorrow. Hello, this is Andrew McKee at 761-1234. Thank you for calling. I like this definition of optimists and pessimists. An optimist sees an opportunity in every calamity, but a pessimist sees a calamity in every opportunity. Now, I admit that it's not easy to see anything good in the trials and tribulations which come our way. What good can possibly come out of a severe illness, an accident, a broken friendship, or a shattered marriage? I don't want you to think that I am naive. Believe me, I'm trying to be as honest and realistic as I possibly can. These things do happen, and they leave some people with the bits and pieces of a ruined career or the residue of what was once a happy life. But still, I say, we can be optimistic, that is, if we allow God to come into the situation. People like Helen Keller, she puts the lie to any suggestion that adversity spells doom. Suffering can produce sympathy, heartbreak can produce a new tenderness, and disappointment can yield new interests. Pain has been the spur to finding new drugs and the means of healing, and every new discovery has had behind it a very big problem. Remember, the same wind carries the yachts in different directions. Your attitude to your problems and difficulties will determine whether they lead you into the despair of pessimism or the hope of optimism. Set your sails to catch the winds of God. He is an unrepentant optimist, for with him all things are possible. This is Andrew McKee, the pastor of Chatsworth Baptist Church, West Norwood, London, saying, God bless you. Call again tomorrow.